sitting
Sure.
out there saying, how could you be happy with that?
I don't think I
You
said
read
it.
about it in the paper, you said you were happy.
Mr. Jacoby,
Yes, sir.
I can tell you firsthand that Mayor Enright knew quite, and I don't recall Mayor Enright making any representation about the happiness of the residents or the board of Fairleigh News with respect to the snow removal. Mayor Enright was here on, the blizzard was on Monday. Mayor Enright was here on Tuesday. Most of the office workers could not make work on Tuesday. Mayor Enright personally handled the phones, received a couple of dozen phone calls throughout the day, a lot of them from folks in Fairleigh News. She was very familiar with the fact that
They were very unhappy.
they were very unhappy. She did not make a statement that they were happy, and I don't know.
I handled a few calls too.
Okay, I am absolutely certain.
But you'll have to read that article in the paper.
Well, then,
Before
look,
you and
I
I discuss it here.
I can tell
It's
you-
much easier to get the paper and read it.
I can tell you, I've been reading about myself in the CoStar for a number of years, and I don't always agree with what it is they're saying I'm saying. That's just happens sometimes.
And I'm very
We
sorry
didn't-
if
we didn't
that's,
call the coast
I'm
guard.
very sorry if that's the way it was reported, but I did not say you were happy with the snow removal. And I would come to any board meeting and tell them that, because I wasn't happy with it. Hopefully, everything will be better in the future.
I'm not happy, but we're understanding as far
Right.
as the fact that it's a blizzard and we had a whiteout situation and we did just as well, if not better than a lot of the
Right,
towns.
we understand all that too.
And that's
We
what I
didn't-
said.
We
you-
didn't come loaded for bear at that meeting. We were there to look to the future
Right.
and all work together to get things going.
I was happy with the
A couple
meeting.
ideas that you have are very good. The communication system
Right.
with the phones and stuff like that.
I was happy with the meeting.
But at this point, I had to clear up because I was out of line.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank
Would anyone else like to speak? Steve? Please state your name and address.
Steve Weiss, 125 10th Avenue. Sir, you said you're going to start putting commercial water meters in. Are we going to rectify the problem if there's still not a water meter on the public school over here? I mean, that's the biggest user of water.
Yeah, that's one of the locations.
Because how can you have an accurate school budget if you don't know how much water and sewer we're using?
Right.
And that's been since we've changed it. I mean, forever, there's never been one there.
Well, I believe isn't there meters there, Art, or?
No, I don't believe the school pays for the water. They're a public
Well, not that you pay
building.
for it, but you still have to know.
It could be accurately recorded so you know the gallonage
I mean,
as
that was part
required by
of
the
the thing when
state.
they were shut, they said we were sewing more water than we were using.
Well, I do
They said
know,
all the water meters, that was when
Right.
Councilman Martin was after this.
Right.
And I approached him at the time and said, how do you know how much water we're actually using and how much we're sewing when the biggest user in the town is not metered?
Right.
Not that you're gonna charge him for it, but you do have to have an accurate meter.
And this would be one of this is the group, these are larger meters. The first
Right.
project was up to 1 inch. These are 2 inch and above, and as you can expect, I think they have 2 large meters at the school.
Right. You just have meters that, you know.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, not cheap, but.
and by the way, too, there's a different process with these commercial meters. Art, if you want to speak to that, the requirement is a 1 inch. So the commercial sites have to pay.
Well, that of course is something the council have to decide upon, but our code calls for us to supply up to a 1 inch meter.
Right.
So it stands to reason, if a larger meter, which is a lot more expensive, we should give them a credit of 1 inch, which is what our code says we're gonna give you.
Right, say, but 1 inch costs $500, you deduct it off the 2,000 for the 2.5 inch pipe.
That's what we've
Right.
always talked
That's fine.
about to this
Right.
point.
But I'm just saying, the school has never had a water meter on it.
They're gonna
But they're
have
going to
one.
have it.
Okay.
They're definitely gonna have one. Every commercial site in town is gonna have a meter. And that's why, I don't wanna tarry with this thing. All last year, as I said, Art and his guys worked very diligently. Matter of fact, we completed the residential way sooner than we thought we were going to. We had set a deadline of the end of the year, and I believe we completed it by the end of September, the beginning of October, if I'm not mistaken. And now I want to move forward and get, along with Tom, and get this whole thing cleared up. Because this project has gone on for way too long, and, we need to finish it.
Yeah, well, my thing is, how do you get an accurate school budget if you don't know how much?
Right.
Exactly,
That's-
exactly.
How are you gonna pay for it?
Would anyone else like to speak? Go ahead, John.
John
John Lewis, 574 Prospect Avenue. First, I'd like to address that the election on February 19th of the Fire Commission. Has anybody here gone over their budget? Okay, the budget in actuality went up at $8,000 again this year, that portion which needs to be collected from the taxpayer. And again, basically the same thing that's done at the school board. They take money that they've padded the budget with previously, add it to a year's budget to make it look like it went down, but when you read it, the part to be collected from taxpayers is up $8,000. Another $65,000 donation to the fire company, $64,000 for maintenance. Last year that was $69,000. I called the city of Hoboken and asked them, their maintenance budget with a boat in the Hudson River was $60,000 last year. The whole budget of Bradley Beach is $104,000 a year, and they have the same size town as we do. So I would encourage you to go out and defeat the fire budget on February 19th, get over it, and let's take a look at the bills on how they're spending $419,000 every year. And we're going to need garbage trucks. They're in this budget. We're going to need, if you think, a loader because of the situation. I've lived here 40 years. That was probably the worst snowstorm that I've seen. I didn't panic. I mean, we had food to stay in the house, but it was, I think, Wednesday by the time they did 6th Avenue. And I know there's no point in, pushing people. I know how hard it is, to do. But if we need the equipment, let's spend our money wisely instead of just throwing it down a black hole.
You mind if I ask you something?
Yes.
So the total budget for our fire department,
400, it was 417,000 last year. I think it's 400,000 this year.
okay, so
Tom,
for
if you want a
every-
copy of it, it's out in the hall.
Yeah, I would like a copy, but in other words, they're spending $400,000
A year.
a year. Bradley Beach is the same
Spending
population.
104
About
is
the
what
same
they asked for
population
last
and
year.
everything else,
Yes.
comparable
For
town,
the Bradley Beach,
apples to
same
apples.
size town, they have beach revenue, we don't.
Right. So the apples to apples, they're same
But
size.
my point is
So
that
it's
this,
$300,000.
this trick of lowering the overall budget while raising the portion that the taxpayer has to
Right.
come up with is an old trick that the school board has used for years, the fire department has used for years, and I still haven't figured out how they do that with this formula. In 10 years, we'll be paying nothing and our taxes will have doubled. But that's the way they're able to do it.
You say that there's garbage trucks in this budget and a front loader in this budget. Now, you're not saying that literally.
No, I'm not saying it literally, but I know that the garbage trucks are getting old. We have it, and again, I ran a farm for 12 years and had to put money away every year for equipment, or knowing that you would need to purchase it. I owned 2 front loaders and a bulldozer myself, put in roads myself, bought them, and then sold them when I was done. This is not brain surgery. If we need a front loader, go out and buy a front loader. But the money for that front loader is in the budget if the fire department would just choose to give it to you. They don't need a $65,000 donation every year, and certainly they don't need $65,000 a year in maintenance. They should have 2 fire trucks over there, not $65,000 worth of maintenance equipment.
Right. So you're saying that's like $300,000, what you're saying.
Well, I would say if you could get and do exactly what Bradley Beach is doing, we'd save $300,000 a year.
Well, you don't have the ability to do that because there's a commission.
Ah.
Somebody in a resident
Well-
has to get 200 signatures on
On a petition, and let's
then
all
we
bury
can
the
get rid of
hatchet
the
and get
commission.
together and discuss this. There were 2 petitions that were to save what, $10,000? What did we save? What we did the Department of Public Works people for a wage freeze. We saved nothing, and 2 petitions it took to get that money saved. 1 petition, you'll save hundreds of thousands of dollars every year.
Why don't you do it, John?
Do I have to go out and get the whole 185? Come on.